John Lennon and Paul McCartney, Brothers. Written by Geoffrey Giuliano. Narrated by Geoffrey Giuliano.
That we have enjoyed the magical music of John Lennon and Paul McCartney for so long now speaks well for the complicated twosome's phenomenal talent and staying power. There were, of course, many important artists that blossomed in the 60s and early 70s. Jimi Hendrix, Bob Dylan, The Doors, the incredible string band, The Who, the Moody Blues, Led Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd, to roll off a few. Still, great as they were, few, if any, matched Liverpool lads John and Paul for their sheer originality and off-the-cuff charisma. It's one thing for an artist to create a body of work that carries the power to inspire a legion of questioning youth on the weary trail to adulthood, but quite another to produce something so opalescent and innocently ingenious as to permanently transform the very culture that bore it in the first place. I, for one, experienced an array of compelling new notions and aspirations on the receiving end of Lennon and McCartney's masterful collective musical visions. Consciousness expansion, women's issues, emotional isolation, political activism, interpersonal relationships, human and animal rights, spiritual transcendence, ecological concerns, social responsibility, high art and low fashion, all ran through the daring duo's voluminous Beatles and post-Beatles works. Experiencing, it seemed, along with the listener, such life-sculpting imperatives for the very first time, John and Paul had a unique way of melding their high-flown ideals into such alluring musical forms as to disarm even the most opinionated critics. Tell the truth and make it rhyme, John Lennon once advised colleague David Bowie back in the machine-like mid-70s when asked his primary musical philosophy. I like to think that anybody with an open mind can do this, he once quipped to me even earlier in the crowded hallway of a Syracuse art museum way back when. Such almost mystical openness, one assumes, while philosophically available to all, surely roots itself in only the most finely tuned and accepting of vessels. All told, the musical maelstrom of Lennon and McCartney remains unequaled in its sincerity, breadth of vision, and unfettered everyday tunefulness. That we will not soon see their like again is reaffirmed daily with one pathetic twist of the holy FM dial on the way to the Metropolis-style workstations awarded us in lieu of our heady birthright as qualitative sparks of the borderless fire of bliss that steadily burns within and without. And when at last it was finally over in April of 1970, John Lennon stood on a rainy, wind-swept London corner and growled into a battery of faceless microphones. "It's nothing important, you know. The Beatles are just a bastard pop group that broke up, that's all." I shuddered along with millions of other turned-on teens who had perhaps irrationally invested too many hopes in the all-too-human foursome from suburban Liverpool. Despite Lennon's naysaying, however, the Beatles are hugely important. Natural leaders without ever wanting to be. A must for those who would rule. Mystical poets laying down their simple truth through the timeless medium of popular or people's music. Enlightened harbingers of a higher voice, once heard, never forgotten. The Beatles were easily all this and still more. Lennon and McCartney especially always actively disdained such sentiments, insisting instead that they were probably more lucky than talented, just vaguely inspired young guys who demanded a bit more than life had originally intended. Two sparsely trained musicians wildly in love with their convoluted art. "We're here to try and explode the talent myth," Paul casually announced in an interview soon after the Beatles' flying carpet first took off. "If we can do it, anybody can." It was a message we definitely needed to hear. Obeisance to the double-headed dream phoenix of long ago. Following their return from the Maharishi's extravagant Rishikesh ashram, Lennon and McCartney traveled to New York to denounce the giggly guru and announce the opening of their ambitious umbrella corporation, Apple. Here's a little of what they had to say.
We made a mistake.
You think other people are making a mistake? You go see them now?
That's up to them.
And we thought...
What? We're human, you know. That's all, you know.
We thought there was more to him than there was, you know. But he's human. And for a while we thought he wasn't, you know.
And now from their luxury suite in the Amsterdam Hilton, here are John and Yoko in their incarnation as Mr. and Mrs. Peace, circa 1969.
We're not trying to get a chance. We're giving... Sample complete. Ready to continue?